Good day and hello again. In this video, I'm going to go into two specific people and an organization. If by chance you have seen some of my other videos in the series Just a Coincidence, I mentioned the video I was working on called From Divinity to Bovinity. But since I have one strike left on this channel, I decided it probably wouldn't be that smart to put that out and have everything taken down. So I decided to approach it in a different way. First of all, many people know that divinity means having to do with a deity or a higher power or a god, that of a divine nature, that in which we are all part of. Bovinity is actually the opposite, being an individual that's part of a herd. And it isn't just a coincidence that God is the word, divine, and a herd is what you do with a word. You follow along with a herd, or you follow along with what you've been told, and you've heard it. It's not just a play on words. It goes both ways, metaphysical and physical. And whether people want to hear this or not, when we're taking in the energy of other living beings that roam the earth freely or by their own accord, unlike a plant, we're taking in energy of a lower nature, not something that magnetically pulls to the sun, something that feeds off of that. So what we're supposed to be doing is eliminating those middlemen, not as in destroying them, but taking them out of the equation and not breeding them into existence to manipulate, use, and eat them. We're supposed to be using nature the way it has been presented to us, because it obviously presents its fruit and then dies off for the next year. And you take those seeds and you plant them for the next year. It's a continual cycle that operates on its own with the littlest help necessary when it comes to elements. Water, land, and sunlight. Quite simple to really understand. That is what nature intends, not for us to be savages. So in this video, I'll be going into Joe Rogan, Mark Zuckerberg, and DOGE. As I've said before, when I had my experience, I saw how this is all happening, and it will end up showing that my name adds into things. Certain God names or words that refer to the divine will be misused or spun backwards, or completely blatantly put in people's faces and used incorrectly. And I'll go a little deeper into what I mean by that in this video. Let's begin. For Joe Rogan, there are a lot of details, and that's most likely why he's so popular. Men especially gravitate towards him because his name means to be yourself, Joseph, and your brother, James, and Rogan. Unlike the word rogue, R-U-G-U-E, to go against things, Rogan is R-O-G-A-N, to activate the notion of a what? A reference ongoing, generated and grouped. So to be the same way we've always been. So Joseph is not only yourself, but it's depicted as the father or the stepfather of Christ. James is depicted as the brother of Christ. I'm not going to go into breaking his letters down too much, because you can see it plainly. Joseph is yourself. Or the stepfather. James is the brother. So if you're going to do what your father and your brothers are doing, and reference ongoing, generated, and grouped, and active notion, you're saying to do what we've always been doing. If you've noticed, as an individual, he likes to do things like fight, trophy hunt, have a meat-based diet, and he promotes those things. Along with that, he's joined along the Trump team, or at least supports them. Is it because he knows that they could shut him down? Or is it because he really believes in what they're talking about? Either way, I'm sure there's some money involved, but I'm not trying to make any accusations. What is concerning is that so many people have him as an impression that they're not thinking for themselves. They're listening to things that other people say, and they're not thinking about it deep enough, because just about 99% of the world thinks a certain way and doesn't want to change if they don't have to. Obviously, nobody has to change. Things could continue to go the way they are, or worse. But they're not going to magically start getting better on their own until we make actions to change them. Not do the same thing we've always been doing, and not just cut out a few little details and still try to keep what we have. That's not going to help anybody improve. We can't improve with a blood-stained world. Thinking that fighting, dominating, or being the best soldier is the best way to be. It's not. Be your own soldier. Stand up for yourself and what's right, not for what other people tell you to do. So with Joe Rogan, or Joseph James Rogan, his birthday is August 11th, 1967, which would be August is 8 here, 11 is actively active or kinetic of its kind, and 1967 is subject familiar, form, or force, generated and grouped. Put all that together and think of yourself, or the idea of the Father, your brother, or the idea of what's happening at these times, and Rogan, to reference the ongoing generated and grouped active notion, to do what we've been doing all along. With that having August, which is here, 8, 11, which is kinetic or actively active, 11, and 1967 being subject, familiar, generated, and grouped, there's nothing about going against the grain. It's about being part of that same thing and capitalizing within it. If others can't see that, that's not my problem. The problem is these kind of mentalities, these kind of ways of life are what will slowly or quickly destroy us. And with people like Joe Rogan promoting a lot of the negative that's going on in the world, whether he knows it or not, it's not doing any good for people. Feeling good about your bad habits will never be a way to prosper, ever. I don't want to go too much more into him because, like I said, I have nothing against these people. They're just playing their role, except they don't know that they can be much better. And money may mislead people from making the right decisions more often than not. As with many of these videos, I want you to try to think deeper than you usually think about things. So as I go into Mark Zuckerberg, I'm not trying to insult the guy, but it's hard not to when every person in life wants some level of privacy, wants some level of personal security, knowing that they're safe, knowing that they're in a world where they're not being used and subjected to horrible things, and not having people that they don't know things about them that they don't want them to know. So Mark Zuckerberg, a lot of us know that he's got one of the biggest platforms that shares information, or at least has shared a lot of information on people. I want to point out that he was born on May 14th, 1984. What a popular year to go along with the title of a very popular book. Well, May, the 5th month, is the expression. 14th is the nature or notion. And then 1984 is subject here, dia, or to and from. So if you had an expression and the notion or nature of that expression, and you wanted to subject it here, to and from that thing, and it vibrates with a guy named Mark Elliott Zuckerberg, it helps to know that every word and every name has context to it, where it's being used, how it's being used, and how it came to be. Well, Mark Zuckerberg, first mark, manifest, active, reference, kinetic, when you leave a mark, when you have left a mark. Also, manifest, active, reference, R is symbolic to what's active here, who you are, who we are, and the earth itself, EAR plus H. R is H, 1/10 higher. So if earth is a place that expresses the active reference plus here, that's your physical being coming into a body of light that manifests in material. Well, this guy takes your information, which doesn't necessarily need your body of material. It takes the stuff that you talk about, that you know, that you share, and that you have to put into certain forms to fill them out. So if you would take that and say Elliot, expressing between two L's or as it lie upon itself, identified, ongoing, plus, and then the last name Zuckerberg, from one side to the other, unanimous, underlying, or unit, constant to itself or unseen concept, kinetic or actively active, expressing the reference or the active here, human letter, base, expressed, reference, generated and grouped. So what you've put out, they're going to take it from one side to the other as a unit or underlying, constant to itself or unseen, kinetic, expressed reference, and that base expressed reference generated and grouped. So it literally means to take your information. Zucker, sucker. When you add 7 to S, it's Z. So if you generate and group a subject, now it's a Z. And if you were going to take something from someone, you'd be a sucker. You'd suck it out of them. I know that sounds ridiculous, but just listen with your heart and your mind and don't let all your other feelings get involved or in the way. So if you're going to take somebody's information from one side to the other, and that base expressed reference generated and grouped, if you can't tell that that obviously implies taking your information for themselves, then I don't know how I could possibly help people understand that this is a very simple thing once your heart and mind are truly open and you actually care about what's going on here instead of letting other people push us around and take advantage of us. It's more than frustrating to watch people who think they're so intelligent talking about things that they can't help by exposing a bunch of bullshit. People need to start saying, I don't need any of your crap. I don't need your extreme capitalism. I don't need any of your assistance. I know how to take care of myself. And the problem with that is so many people don't. And until you learn that, you're not helping anybody. When's the last time many of these truthers have actually done something for themselves without needing someone else to do it for them? How many of them supply their own food or know how to? Does anybody think that going to the store is a safe bet on getting your nutrients and your food supply? Or does anybody understand that the earth itself supplies food and all you have to do is learn to cooperate with it? We've all just let so many people take control of us and manipulate us that people don't think that they can do it for themselves. They're too busy going out gathering up corporate dollars to pay taxes to criminals who keep you under their thumb. I don't want to spend the rest of my life watching people be controlled by rich people and their companies. And when you take a look at Mark Zuckerberg himself, I don't know if he's trying to do this, but many of the visual representations you get of him in pictures or videos either look like he's an android or a damn alien. And with the middle name Elliot, just think about E.T. Elliot. That's what this guy looks like. It's a joke on humanity. It's not helping anybody. They're all trying to develop AI faster than the other one. And what's AI going to do? Provide your life for you? Grow some synthesized food? It's pathetic to watch the world crumble like this while people are paying attention to the wrong shit. The right thing to do at a time like this is to have anger about what's being done wrong to us and our environment and the world we live in. If you aren't a little angry by this and you just want peace and happiness and joy, you're a child. And you're acting in a way that is not only childish, but in a way that's going to keep the generations to come lost and increasingly more and more hopeless. I don't say this because I like to. I say it because the more we distance ourselves from what nature really is and what it does supply for us without any people interfering, then we're basically just giving away what we would consider our birthright. And that is to understand what life is for. Why do we manifest into being? Just so we can serve somebody else's purpose and be their pawns? I sure as hell know that that isn't my purpose in life. And I know that it's not yours either. Until we actually have enough courage to do the right thing, whether or not it goes against the grain and offends people, it's important that we do so. Growing up isn't the funnest thing to do, and evolving includes a lot of challenges. If we're not willing to face those challenges, we can never truly succeed. Now we will go into the group called DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. As I was saying, I had a video called From Divinity to Bovinity that I decided not to put out the way I had it because it was way too long and it went way too into things that would have lost people. By saying that, I don't mean that I think people are dumb. I just know that people aren't looking deeper at the world that we live in. And when I talk about things being related and connected through the word, most people would not think that that has enough meaning to hold true to everything, as I say it does. But in fact, not only does it, but it's the only thing that connects us to each other because that's the way we explain our information to each other. So going into DOGE, as I was saying in the beginning of this video, the word will show the truth when people truly know how to open their eyes and see it. So when you start seeing people who are in control of other people's lives, and you start seeing reversed words relating to God names, such as Atem, A-T-E-M, sometimes spelled A-T-U-M in other different ways, but that's meta backwards. Yes, it means a certain thing on its own, me plus activity. If you had someone whose intention was to share information on others, it would be manifest expression plus active, meta. But when you go into DOGE, the word itself is the expression of God backwards, E-G-O-D, but instead, D-O-G-E. Other than that, The word DOGE itself in Italian means an elected lord or head of state during the medieval and Renaissance periods. Such states were referred to as crowned republics. Doges wore a special hat and usually ruled lifelong. If you can't see that this is happening right in front of us, with a guy like Elon Musk thinking that he's doing so much to help humanity when all he's doing is helping himself, then you're not really thinking deep enough about it. It's put right in front of you. And because it's too easy to understand, most people don't want to. They'd rather look the other way. And they hold on to the things that make them feel good personally. But aside from all these other alternative meanings, the word DOGE itself would be dia, or to and from, ongoing, generated in grouped expression. So they're saying what stays and what goes. To and from, ongoing, generated in grouped expression? Is that not what they're doing? If it isn't, then you can please tell me where I'm wrong. And along with that, please look through all of the videos I've done so far and tell me where there's one flaw. And if there is, I'm sure that I can explain it deeper if I haven't enough. I haven't dove way deep into anything because this is all simple if you really have eyes to see and ears to hear. Now, I'm not going to go into all the members of the Doge party, but as I was talking about bovinity, El is the bull god. Elon is the head of Doge, who's a crony for Mr. Trump, who wants to drill into the ground for oil, which is OIL. If that's not something that's coming from the ground or mother of the ground, Mother Earth, OI, two vowels, then L, instead of just EL. So we're stealing mother's blood. That's what Donald Trump's doing. And all these other cronies that are along with him are doing nothing to help the situation for the world. They're only helping the situation for themselves. Now, as I said in other videos, many people may understand that Baal or Baal is one of the gods that many of these occult groups worship. It's not just a coincidence that they brought in a young guy who goes by a nickname, Big Balls. How ridiculous and immature is that to put that out on news headlines about someone who's representing the country, Big Balls, a 19-year-old who's known for leaking information about other things already. And his name, my father's name, Edward. As I've said before, Ed is what you get when you add up the letters of the sun. S, 19, U, 21, N, 14. Add them together, 54. Put that in the letter form. ED, Ed, my father's name. I'm the son of the sun. Do you get it? Now, if you understand what that is in a spiritual meaning, the son of the sun is what? Okay, let's just say Christ. This guy's last name isn't the word Christ because it's missing the H. When the H is not present, it's not here. His last name, Korstein, is literally saying no Christ in expression. Corist. The name or the word Christ without an H with an O in its place. To simply break it down, Korstein would be the concept ongoing reference or human letter, identified subject plus identified notion expressed. So whatever group you're involved with is the group that you're going to support, that you identify the notion and express. The teen. Then being born in December of 2005, you can't find his actual birth date, is enough to see that it's as it lies, or the active base, to any expressed. It means to join with somebody and say what they want you to say or do what they want you to do. He's expressing to and from, the plural active reference to and from. Then, constant to itself, ongoing reference, identified subject, plus identified notion expressed. Somebody who just listens and does. If these things aren't enough to open your eyes to something deeper in the world, you may have no chance. But you can pull your heart back out of wherever it's been lost and pull your mind back from wherever it has wandered off to and find yourself again so that you can help the world become better instead of letting it be destroyed. There's so much more for me to say about these things, but I'm going to leave it at that because it's more than enough to make the point. I do what I'm doing because I'm in love with the truth and I love and care about the world that I'm in. you happen to be part of it. Until next time, peace and God bless.